we're delighted to welcome Supplier Development Programme, hearing from them today and the work that they're doing and how you can get involved and how you can take advantage of all the opportunities of working with the public sector and procurement. So I won't do a long introduction, sorry, a bit of a cough there, almost coughed again. But I'll hand over to Jennifer Payne from Supplier Development Programme. As I mentioned, we'll come to questions at the very end, so do have a think as we're going through about potential questions. You can come on screen and unmute, as I said before, or post your questions in the chat, but I'll hand over to Jennifer just now.
Thanks, Duncan. My name is Jennifer Payne, and I'm a development officer with the Supplier Development Programme. I've been working with SDP for about just 3.5 years or so, and in that time, I'm kind of responsible for our marketing and events. We have other members of the team. Fran Goldie runs our digital events, so webinars and things like that. And we have Amanda Goncalves, who is a business development officer. We've got our program manager is Jillian Cameron, and we have 2 assistants who help us carry out our work as well. And Elizabeth Bailey is our finance officer and admin assistant, admin lead. So we've got kind of a small team, and we have a national remit. And so I was just going to go through some of our top tips for tendering and some of the things that we can offer you as supported businesses in the who might be interested in bidding for the public sector contracts on offer. So I don't know if everyone's heard of the power of procurement, but what is the power of procurement? If you haven't heard of it, then and you decide to do business with the public sector, you'll need to know what it is. Basically, we put sustainability at the core of everything we do in Scotland's procurement. So SDP is connected to each and every local authority in Scotland, as well as the Scottish government, and we sit independently right between buyers and suppliers. So just a tiny little bit between what you guys want and what they want, that's where SDP lives. And SDP helps public sector buyers meet what's called the sustainable procurement duty, which is part of law. And we have a goal of embedding SDP in procurement strategy right across the whole of Scotland's public sector. And we have a lot of members. All 32 local authorities are members of the program, which provides a nationwide network to connect and source suppliers like you. So wherever you are in Scotland, wherever you're based, you will have the same program, the same resources available through the Supplier Development Programme as any others. But we don't just stop there. We have a team approach. And so our partnership working is highlighted to all 32 local authorities because sustainability is at the heart of everything. Being a member of SDP is an outward sign that an organization is committed to good and sustainable practices. And we offer corporate membership as well as affiliate membership. So affiliate members are like, you know, you can see them on your screen there, Forestry and Land Scotland, SPT, you know, so South of Scotland Enterprise, HIGH, Scottish Enterprise, all of these organizations are wanting to connect with you as businesses. And so they use SDP to be able to have that conversation. Whether it's for a council's development of a school or related to a growth deal, these organizations partner with SDP to deliver community benefits and support community wealth building and break down that tendering process, which can be a little bit daunting for everyone. And while you might think, oh, my business isn't in renewables or it isn't in construction, oftentimes SDP is utilized to connect with businesses that provide services around a building site. For example, workers have to eat breakfast and lunch, vehicles need MOTs, there might be cleaning opportunities on site, you know, so even if you're not in that particular sector, there might be business opportunities that you could provide services for. And so we try to make that more transparent. We try to pull them out from, you know, their primary contractors from different contracts that are coming up. And we try and make those super transparent to you and the wider SME business space in Scotland. So it's really important to sign up for a free account with a Supplier Development Programme on our website and follow our social media channels to keep up to date on the latest opportunities and announcements and contract opportunities. But I wanted to take a second and talk about the third sector in numbers when it comes to SDP. So in terms of total event attendance for last financial year, we're still running them for this year, Scottish charities and supported businesses have engaged with all types of SDP's events and activities in the last financial year. From core training that aims to equip businesses with the core skills to become more competitive and successful when submitting a tender. And core training during this period accounted for over a third of total attendance at events from unique Scottish charities and supported businesses. So when we're running training, 33 to 37% of the businesses that are getting that training are from the third sector, and that's a good chunk. And we want to see that grow. For SDP's bespoke training events, this accounted for a third, so 33% of unique attendance from Scottish charities and supported businesses. And these buyers, they want to talk to you. They want you to actually bid for their contracts. And so you coming along to these events facilitates that conversation. So they're like one person in a large organization, and there's tons of you guys, but everyone gets a chance to have their questions answered, get to have that conversation and be part of things, and then get the reminders and the training that goes along with any particular opportunity that's come up. So some of the highest sole engagement from charities and supported businesses were at these events, including both City of Edinburgh Council events for temporary accommodation and services, as well as with the EHSCP and the Open Supplier meeting for the Scottish Government Climate Justice Communities Opportunity in the last year. The remaining attendance from Scottish charities and supported businesses was accounted for across the Meet the Buyer events that we run in the last financial year, which saw by far the highest engagement from third sector from previous years. So total attendance in the last year from Scottish charities and supported businesses equaled that of the previous 4 years. So we've really vamped up. You guys are really engaging with the program. We want to see that trend to continue to grow. And it shows us that you find value in what you're finding there. So we want to continue to build on that foundation. And why not? Our tender training is free and it's open to all of you. So let's just have a quick look at SDP training in third sector words. What does that actually mean? We ask you guys, what do you think? What do you think of this training? And here are a few things that some of your fellow businesses across the third sector said about tender training through SDP. Believe me, I know that carving out time to go on to training is not easy when you're busy, but we are punchy with our training, and more than 80% of our trainers were buyers before they became bid writers and procurement experts, so they know what they're talking about. I am not an expert in tender training, but you can ask our trainers any question you have, and they'll answer it as part of any training event that we put on. So don't think, if your question is too specific or it doesn't have to do with a specific training topic covered. If you have a question, just ask what you want to ask, and you'll definitely get that expert answer that you're looking for. So, and this isn't looking right, is it? Hang on one second. There we go. I just had to fix the slide real quick. Okay, so what does SDP offer for suppliers? What are you guys doing when you're coming to us? When you create a free account, you're getting access to a program. We are both an SME ourselves, and we're hosted by South Lanarkshire Council on behalf of all 32 local authorities. So really, we're a nationwide approach, but we have a local aspect. So suppliers recognize us as a trusted resource for tender and bidding support. Training is currently via webinar, however, has and will return to face-to-face when available. Topics you can access are varied, and you can dip in and out of any kind of tender training. You don't have to do it in order. You can just, okay, that one looks good right now, or oh, I need a little bit of this or a little bit of that. So you can access who's the public sector. So it'll give you like a general overview of the public sector and some of the buyers in it and what the landscape looks like. One of our most popular courses is using PCS and PCS Tender, so the Public Contract Scotland web portal. And one of our other most popular is completing the single procurement document, which is an absolute bear, if you're not familiar with tendering. But we break it down into like a step-by-step process that expert trainer kind of goes through. This is what you need to do. And understanding framework contracts, key policies like sustainability, community benefits, And if you're a more seasoned bidder, then looking at improving your bid score and asking for feedback and things like that. You can access all of these free courses on our website by just visiting sdpscotland.co.uk. There's an events section, and you can click in there and kind of move around and see what might be available. But as part of your registration on the SDP website, you get a direct contact at a council. We have an SDP rep at every single membership organization, and that's your golden thread. Like sometimes it can be hard to get an answer from someone, or you have a question about something, or you haven't heard back. And they, each named rep has an email address and a phone number, and this is invaluable information when you're looking for an answer for something, or you wanted to get into contact. So you're able to contact your own local authorities SDP rep, or you're able to contact a different one. It's all there. We also have a jargon buster, which can be helpful when you're actually bidding and you're like, what does that mean? Like just log into your account. It's searchable, alphabetical, so you can type in what you're looking for and it'll give you a definition and more resources. And we have online videos and guides. We have e-learning, so you can access, something on demand. You can go in at 3 o'clock in the morning if that's your bag and find the answer to something if you've left something late. So you don't have to just wait, until the next training anymore. The e-learning offers, it's a shorter option, but you can kind of skip ahead to whatever question you might have if you have it. And there's also an SDP help desk for general questions. One of the top things that I like talking about, obviously, because I'm in marketing and events, is our monthly newsletters and social media. We are really active on social media. We try and keep the conversation going, and we work with our partners such as Social Enterprise Scotland to ensure that that information is getting out to all of the audiences that they're supposed to. So if you're not already following us, I would encourage you to, and if you have any questions, you can submit them through email or on social media as well, and we'll come back to you. So I just want to dip into some top tips for tendering before we move on to the question and answer session. And this will touch on some key factors that can assist you with your tender performance. So we're going to talk about researching the market, pre-planning, writing winning tender content, and sustainability themes, and how to build a tender library. So these are some of our top tips. The first one is research, making the most of Public Contract Scotland. Sorry, I've not been moving on the slides as I should be. So top tips for tendering, we've just gone through that. This is what we're going to cover. And then now we're going to talk about research and making the most of Public Contract Scotland. So PCS, as it's known, is a wealth of free information. We advise it, you all use it to do your homework. You can research the contract register on PCS. A contract register is a list of all the upcoming contracts from every procuring organization in Scotland. So you can search their contract register and find out if what they're looking for is something that you can provide, and the timelines associated with that. You can look for tendered contracts and the plan from when they're coming up for renewal. You can look for awarded contracts, and if they're larger ones, you can go to the person or the business that won it and say, hey, can I help you deliver that? Congratulations, can we help deliver your contract, right? There's loads of options, loads of information in there. But there's also PCS Tender as a portal, which allows you to register and then pair your accounts between PCS and PCS Tender, so that one login will give you access to both at the click of a button. On PCS, you can find current opportunities, future opportunities, awards and successful suppliers, but also schedules of renewal dates, name and email contacts for buyers. That is all in there. They all have an email address. They all have a number. Lesser known public sector buyers, but who still procure through Public Contract Scotland. You can get information on your competitors, and you can also find some subcontract information and commercial information from private sector buyers as well. So this supplier area, the suppliers area, is really, really important. And it is a little bit, it can be a little bit clunky when you're using it. So we ask, to go on to the using PCS tender training, and that'll help you get up to speed really quickly if you're not already. And so I wanted to give a couple of examples of things that come through public contract Scotland. One example that we found was the current Scottish Government commodities reserved for supported business contract. It's quite a mouthful. Reserved commodities for supported businesses framework. The Scottish Government has a framework that is reserved for businesses like yours. And it's about to lapse in 2022 in December. So you have a few months before the current contract's going to end, but you can get tender ready now if you're wishing to bid for what's coming around the corner. So the Scottish Government issued a prior information notice, which is also known as a PIN. It was published on PCS in early April this year to establish the next generation of the framework. You can see from this that, if you go into the full text notice here, it tells you lots of more information, and that the Scottish Government has not decided yet what format it would take, if it's going to be a framework or a dynamic purchasing system. A framework is set for 4 years, no new businesses can come on, but in a dynamic purchasing system, it's like it opens every 3 months or 6 months or whenever the buyer decides. So if you miss a chance to bid, then you can bid later. So it's important to know the difference between the two and be ready to bid as soon as possible onto what's coming up. So you as a supported business are able to note your interest still. You can still go to this, and I've included the direct link, and Duncan will circulate this. So you can go online after this and submit your interest if your business is wanting to know more about it. And then you'll get emailed with updates every single time there's an update. So you can go onto PCS and click the button to record your interest now. The next one I just kind of wanted to point out is from Social Security Scotland. Social Security Scotland is a membership organization of the Supplier Development Programme, and we're really proud to be working with them to open up their opportunities for sustainability. So they are going to deliver a Talking Tenders engagement event for suppliers like you on the 19th of July at 3:30 p.m. for a reserved catering contract, with the aligned training date to be announced, but it'll take place in August 2022. So Talking Tenders event is just exactly what it says. They talk about what they know about the contract, how they want to procure it, the types of businesses that they're looking for. Maybe, there might be information about hot and cold beverages, breakfast and cafe style lunch menus, and a variety of confectionery is what it says on there. But there might be other things that they then bring out because it's moved on since they published this pin. So it's just having a chat with you. This is coming up. Is anybody interested? What are your questions at the outset? And then after that, we have aligned training where the buyers don't come along to that. It's just about, okay, this is the contract opportunity, this is how you bid, not what to say in your bid, but how to bid. So setting up an account, uploading attachments, this is your pricing schedule, this is, all the different things you have to do. So a trainer will help you step by step through that process, break down some of those barriers and make sure you're ready to bid. And so that'll be on the 19th of July is the initial chat about it. So if it doesn't apply to you, but a catering business that's like, a supported business, please do pass along that information that they might be interested in coming along and working for Social Security Scotland. So in order to provide a suitable work environment at these new premises for circa 1,200 staff in Dundee and Glasgow, Social Security Scotland intends to procure catering services, and its consideration is being given to reserving this contract for supported businesses only. So it's an opportunity to maybe just get in there. They haven't confirmed that yet, but it is a possibility. And sorry, I'm trying to click and it's not letting me scroll down. I've lost my mouse. Here it is. So the value of this contract, and it's important to note the value, you can get that from the full text of notice here, is supposed to be £125,000, excluding VAT. And again, you can go on to PCS and register your interest in this. It is still open, so you just click the register your interest button. So those are a couple of examples of what you can find on PCS to do your research. Now we're going to talk about getting tender ready. So what does getting tender ready mean? It means that you know where to find the content that you're going to write about in your tender. Okay, so when you're ready to bid, you want to make sure you're ready to clearly explain what you do, how you do it, and why your company is a good fit for the opportunity. This is a chance to really tell a buyer, these are our successes. Use stats, use feedback, quotes, things, what other people say about you. This is where your awards come in. You have to bang your drum. You have to say, this is why we're great, and this is why we would be really good for you. If you can't provide all the information that they ask for, that's okay. They don't necessarily need an answer to that. But what they do need to know is just an explanation as to why you don't have that information. Not been trading for 3 years? Tell them that. Like, oh, I need this for 3 years. I only have it for 1. Here it is. And the reason why is because we weren't trading for 2 years prior to that. They just need that explanation. Don't just leave it blank, okay? Because then they think it's incomplete. So if you can't provide all the information, it's covered by an NDA, can't talk about it. But what I can talk about are this, talk about what you can and give them the reason why not. Follow the buyer's instructions to the letter. So if they say 300 words or 300 spaces, that's exactly what they mean. They will not look past 300 words. Okay, so if they say it, do it. Okay, so nothing past what they've said. So give examples, right? So they might say 1 example, they mean 1 example. If they say up to 3, you can decide 1, 2, or 3, but we would suggest doing 3, for example. So follow the buyer's instructions to the letter in your tender. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that the person reading your bid knows anything about your company, even if you won before. You have to introduce yourself again. You have to say, this is who we are and what we do, and this is how we did it, and this is how we plan to do it for your contract. So even if you've delivered for them before, you're like, oh, they know me, we've chatted all the time. They can't take any of that into consideration before your bid. Okay, so they're looking at your bid as a separate entity. What happened before doesn't matter. If it's not on the page, it doesn't get considered. Okay. And then back up what you've said with evidence. So stats, quotes from clients, awards, accreditations, add credibility wherever you can. Okay, so your examples should be, strong examples, strong case studies, and information about what you've done before. And that will add more and more value to your bid. The next bit I wanted to kind of talk about, people find this quite helpful, I think, is that we suggest when you're considering bidding that you make a folder, ideally on your desktop, right? That you can access all of these as subfolders. Then when you're bidding, you'll have a repository that you can find what you're looking for right away. So every buyer is going to ask you different things. They're going to ask you for bits and pieces here and bits and pieces there. They're not going to, all ask you for every single bit of this unless it's some absolutely massive contract. So you can learn more about these things in SDP's introductory course on planning your bid with time and resources. It's a 1.4 introductory course, planning your bid. And the trainer will go through what you need and how to do it and all these things. These aren't all required when you're bidding for every single contract, but it's good to have it all organized so that you can just go, oh, yep, that's my company registration order number. Oh, here's all my policies. They've asked for a policy. I can take a snippet. I have a policy. Happy to provide that as an attachment kind of thing. So you can just grab it here, 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 and here, and you're not spending time and wasting time trying to find it when you're bidding. So we'll circulate this as well so that you can have a wee look. And if you don't have it, don't worry about it. As I'm saying, these are things that can be developed, and you can ask those questions in your planning your bid time and resources webinar. And on planning. Okay, so new opportunities are published every single day. Oh dear, it's not, I'll come here. There we are. New opportunities are published on Public Contracts Scotland every single day. It's important to have a bid, no bid strategy to make the best decisions and keep your business focused. You need to create a bid, no bid decision process for your organization. This means taking into account the nature and maturity of your products, services, and personnel. The process for bidding for which contract opportunities to pursue isn't always clear. It's not always like cut and dry, oh, that's definitely something I'm going to go for. That's definitely not something I'm going to go for. But to paraphrase Shakespeare, to bid or not to bid is one of the most strategic processes required by any successful contractor. So these are some of the things that you can consider, and you can learn more about this process in SDP's free course. It's module 3, getting your business tender ready, the checklist. So you can check all the minimum selection criteria. Do you meet all of these? You know, do you need to rely on others? Are you going to do a consortium bid? Are you going to, like, you know, I can do this bit and you guys can do this bit and we'll come together and we'll bid together. You can talk about if you need subcontractors or partners, how that might work as a consortium bid as well. You can check if it's divided into lots. So it might be an absolutely massive contract or a framework, and it's divided into areas that you could bid for. You don't have to bid for them all, just a wee bit here or a wee bit there. You can look at location. You know, is this easy for my business to actually service? Is investment needed up front? What's your cash flow like? Like, is this a good time to bid? You can look at resources for the job or for the bid. You know, you're going to have to say, who's going to do this in my organization? Is it me or is it someone else? You can look at your track record with the client. Do you have a really good, you know, relationship already in one area? Can you expand to another area? And you can look at your competitors. What are they doing? You know, I know you're supported businesses, but there are certain businesses that are multiple in one area. So what are your friends doing? Are they doing this too? Should you be on that framework too? Should you be on that dynamic purchasing system too? So that you can get some of that business in for yourselves. The next thing to do is to write a bid plan. When you're thinking that you're tender ready and an opportunity comes in that you'll want to bid for, here are some top tips. You want to read, and read again all documents. You want to be clear on the ask and note the key areas that will require attention. So you'll write your content for the buyer's specific requirements. There's no copy paste in bidding. Okay, you have to write it every single time. This is what I'm going to do. So you read all the documents, the notice, the specifications, the terms and conditions, the evaluation, the instructions in the invitation to tender, and everything that they give you, okay? Then you will get your clarification questions in as soon as possible through PCS. Now, on this note, I just want to make clear, procurement people and buyers are human beings too. They make mistakes, okay? So asking that question is not a bad thing. Other people, you know, they might have missed something, or something wasn't checked, you know, fully, or there might be something missing entirely. Ask the question. It's not gonna harm you. You don't have to identify yourself. They don't even know who's asking the question, because whatever question you ask gets sent out to everyone else. They all see it, and then the buyer has to respond to that question. And if something's missing or needs clarified, then you get that clarification, and it's really, really helpful to everyone. So you can make notes of key elements of client requirements and brief your bid team or subcontractors. Many of you are probably sole traders or, you know, like on your own. So it may just be you. We get that too. So like, how do you plan your time and make key element notes? This is what I need to do. This is what I need to get together. You can watch out for client terminology and use it in your response. So if someone's looking for this service, make sure that word's in there. Make sure that you're using the same terminology, the same words that your buyer's asking for in your response. Then you're mirroring, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. This is what they asked for. This is how my business can meet that need. And you can check the buyer's website for initiatives and priorities, especially for Fair Work First, Net Zero, community benefits, etc. And weave all of those into your answers too. We noticed that you have a policy on this, and this is the direction you're going. And we can help meet that too, because the bid is not about the lowest price. It's about all the value you can add to a buying organization. And so, as I'm saying, there's no copy paste in bidding in general. Generic answers will lose you points. You really do need to tailor it to the specific requirements of the buyer. Next, wanted to talk about, sorry, missed those final ones. So check the buyer's website. Generic answers will lose you points, but don't worry, it's on the next slide too. So here we go. Generic answers will lose you points. Again, it's one of those things. So I'm going to go a little bit further. Sustainability can be scored up to 15% of a tender. That's quite a chunk. 15% is quite a chunk, and it can make the difference between like you and another person, another business winning. So it's important to consider this at the outset. And it might seem scary to contemplate, but actually these are things that your business may very well be doing already. So the Scottish Government is firmly focused on creating the right economic conditions to drive a greener, fairer, and more sustainable economy. When you're considering a public sector bid, just ensure that you know what the ask is and how your business will demonstrate that. And in addition to SDP, there are other organizations for sustainability out there, such as Zero Waste Scotland, another one of our members. And Edinburgh Science has produced a great net zero toolkit, which can be found at thenetzerotoolkit.org. It's literally called thenetzerotoolkit.org. And it's a step-by-step toolkit. It's fantastic. So if your business is like, oh yeah, you know, I need to do that, that's an easy way to go step-by-step and get yourself a net zero policy if you don't have it already. SDP has also embedded all of these strategic plans into practical and operational plans within our free training. So I can't encourage you enough to register for a free account and try it out for yourself. But these are some of the things that you're going to see. It's like fair work first, the 7 criteria of it, the circular economy, net zero, and the response to the climate emergency. That date keeps moving forward and forward from 2040 to 2035, and we don't know what's next, but it's definitely on the agenda. And the earlier that your business is ready for it, the better. Community benefits are another thing. These are things that you would already be doing, community benefits. So you guys are, you know, absolute market leader in community benefits. Just tell them what you're doing, exactly what you're doing and why. Sustainability elements that you want to consider. What can you offer for this particular contract? Can it be measured? Are you measuring it already, or is it something that they can measure? Do you have a method statement on how you do it, how you deliver? You can make it very proportionate to the size or type of your organization. So like, they're not going to ask you to spend millions, you know, delivering community benefits. They just want you to deliver like one thing, or, you know, say you'll work with someone, or, you know, we tell sole traders in construction, you know, can you offer to fix a path, you know, at a local community center or a church, or, you know, something in the community? Can you can you come along to a jobs fair or a jobs day, you know, at a local school, and say, this is how we do our business, and you know, can you take on an apprentice? Can you do all these different things? You know, how are you already delivering community benefits? And I bet it's right embedded into the way that you've set up your third sector organization anyway. So just talk about that when you're talking about community benefits, but it shouldn't be onerous. It shouldn't be too much. And that's what they want to hear. So generic answers will lose you points. Definitely think about it and go, this is how we would meet that need of the buyer. So we're pretty much nearing the end of our top tips for today. We have plenty more information. The training that we offer is quite extensive. There's lots to dip in and out of. As they say, you don't have to do everything in order. You don't have to do anything at all. There's a module just on quick quotes made easy. You heard of a quick quote? A quick quote is under £50,000, and it's for unplanned procurement. So they're not in your contract plans that you would be able to look up on PCS because it's unplanned, but you have to be invited to bid for a quick quote. So we talk about that in a quick module on Quick Quotes Made Easy on the 26th of July. And that's also one of our most popular e-learning courses is Quick Quote Made Easy. And on the 13th of July, we have Planning Your Bid, Time and Resources. So that would also be helpful to everyone, talking about that chart a little bit back. This Friday, there's a drop-in event in Stranraer. I'm not sure where everybody's based. I'm sure I'm going to find out soon. But the Ayrshire event, the Dumfries and Galloway event in Stranraer is, it was supposed to be a Meet the Buyer where there were lots of exhibitors and things like that, but they've scaled it back just to a one-to-one. So if you're in the area, please do drop in. On the 12th of July, if you're in Sterling Council and you want to talk about community wealth building, which is all of the different things around a site or a project that your business might be able to cater for, you're welcome to come into a supplier event. It's an in-person event. And then there's a few different ones that we already talked about, the talking tenders with Social Security Scotland. We've also got a talking tenders with NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, and that's on pest control services. Not sure if you guys are in the space, but even if you know someone, that would be great. And then we have, for those of you who might be in the north of Scotland, we have a Meet the Buyer North event, and that's on the 7th of September. It will be an in-person event. There'll be a few hybrid elements where the presentations will be online, but the actual exhibitions will be in person. So if you're in the area and you would like to come along, that's the 7th of September. And then if you're in the south of Scotland, we have our Meet the Buyer South event on the 4th of October. And again, that's an in-person event. It may or may not have hybrid options. We're still planning. So all of these events are welcome. You're welcome to attend. They're all free. You can book your place in advance by visiting the STP website. And you can look at all of your requirements, decide what your business would best be completing first, and ask all your questions and grab all the resources there, and templates and policy templates and information and jargon buster and all that stuff. It's all on the website. So we really hope to see you. We want to engage. Tell all your friends about SDP, and you know, if there's anything that you have questions about, you can drop us an email at info@stpscotland.co.uk. But I just wanted to really thank you guys for listening, and thank Social Enterprise Scotland for inviting us to talk about what we're doing today. And I'd love to have a discussion and answer all your questions now that you know everything about top tips for tendering.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Jennifer. I really, really appreciate that. It's been a very, very comprehensive roundup there. And obviously there's a lot of opportunities for social enterprises to get involved here, I think. Particularly those who've never kind of taken part in procurement or working in the public sector before. I think there's a huge amount of opportunities there. So we've got a few minutes now just for questions. So there's no questions in the chat function, but does anybody have a question they want to ask on screen and unmute? You can just put your hand up if that's possible. Just click on the reactions button below. Or not. There was that moment when we're wondering if anyone's going to ask a question. Yeah, I suppose we could start with asking, I suppose the question I always ask is, if you're a small social enterprise, you've never really bid for a contract before, you've never really kind of taken part in procurement before in that sense, what are your kind of tips for those kind of people that may be feeling a bit anxious, a bit kind of get overwhelmed by the whole process? Where would you kind of start? What's a starting point for those kind of organizations?
Sorry, sorry, can you repeat the question? I've received a direct message question, so that's like,
that's fine.
Try that again.
Just if you're a small social enterprise and you've never really bid for a contract before, you've never really taken part in working in the public sector, what kind of advice would you give them, or maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by the whole process and what it might take, that kind of thing? Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so there's two things you have to do, really. It's register an account. It's a free account on Public Contracts Scotland. On that website, you can just set it up. You go to the suppliers area, you click create account. When you do that, you fill in your profile of your business details. It's just information that you'll know, how you want to be contacted, when you want to be contacted, okay? And then the second bit is registering an account on SDP, because we're the training for that website. We can help you optimize your profile on Public Contracts Scotland so that you are actually invited to Quick Quote, that you are opted in to all the right things that you want to be receiving information about. And then we can help you get tender ready for it. So, the Public Contracts Scotland website is an advertising portal. It's just information, though. It's not like a pretty advertising portal. It's not like TV or something. So we try and help break that down, because it is a little bit hard to kind of go, that's a lot of text, so where can I find this information? Where can I find that information? How to break it down a little bit. So those are my top tips, really. What you first need to do, create an account. Second thing, create an account. Then take the steps at your leisure. Ask the questions that you have. Make sure you're reaching out to those buyers, to us, when you're thinking, oh, I might get involved in that, but I'm feeling a little bit you know, I don't know that I can do it. Come on to the training, talk to the trainer about it, ask your questions. They'll help you, you know, they'll give you all their expertise for free. And these are the guys that get paid, you know, to write bids all the time. They're in and out of these portals, they know what they're doing, but they really do go step by step by step. And if you're still confused, they'll go through it again and say, okay, well, let's talk about this for your business. What question do you have? And try and help you.
I think that makes total sense. It's about making that first step, isn't it? Really, just kind of just
yeah.
in that sense, really. So yeah.
Yeah.
Liz, you said you couldn't find the button to put your hand up. If you want to ask a question, go for it. Feel free.
Thanks. Yeah, Microsoft Teams, you just click the raise hand. Maybe on Zoom, you just have to do it. Is it? Or
it's reactions, but don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay. So just getting back to that tender that you used as an example for social services, for the provision of a cafe or whatever it is. So that was listed last October. Were you using as an example of what's currently available, or is that something in the past that's gone that is no longer available? And also, you know, you've sort of focused on charities. I'm a CIC, but I also have a separate business, which is just a limited company for mobile barista coffee bar. Does it have to be a social enterprise? Is it, or can it be any business?
Great questions. Okay, so there's a couple different steps with Public Contracts Scotland. The first is a prior information notice, and that's what I shared from last year. So prior information notice is not a contract. It's estimating like who is in the space, what are the businesses that are interested in bidding, and they can record their interest. There's nothing to do after that. They just know it's coming. But what happens is when there is going to be a contract notice, an actual like, this is what the opportunity is from the buyer and this is how you bid, then you'll be invited to, because you've expressed your interest. So they do that really far in advance sometimes, and sometimes it's like right before something. So they'll do like a pin 2 weeks before, and then they'll do the contract notice just a couple weeks. But it generally lays out their timeline generally. And if you haven't heard anything for a while, you can always email and say, is there any update on this? You know, like going to ask for a projected timeline or whatever, because that is quite a long time. And like the lead-in times for these are sometimes absolutely massive. We've been working on something for Scottish government for 2 years, right? trying to get, you know, things mobilized to like ensure that all these different businesses are part of things. So the lead-in times can be really, really long. And you might even forget about it.
Yeah.
So like
when
you do that though, you can go into your account and you can see what you've registered your interest in. Okay, so there's a list of these things. And then when it gets to contract stage, you'll get that information too. It'll be sent to your email that you have attached to your Public Contracts Scotland account. So this one, we actually have line training for. They haven't published the contract notice yet, but it is due imminently. And we will have that bespoke line training session. It's in our calendar. So you can go and register for that right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Will we get the link to register for that?
Yeah, you just hop onto the SDP website and go to the event section, and it's right there.
Okay.
Okay. For the second part of your question, I didn't mean to exclude anyone or any type of business or things. It's hard to kind of say every single one, but I do mean every single kind of third sector organization or supported business or CIC, all of it. Okay, when we're talking about these things. And some contracts will reserve to those specific types of businesses, and that's to give you guys a shot. Okay, and it's also to ensure that the buyer is connecting with you and that you have, you know, that opportunity and that way to engage with them that is not overrun by really large organizations that have procurement teams and like, you know, like scads and scads of people writing their professional bids and stuff. They want to connect with you. They don't always know how. So some of these frameworks, the dynamic purchasing systems that, you know, they'll put out there that are reserved, that's to ensure that you have a place and you have a way in, and that buyers can call off of that, and they can engage with you about upcoming contracts and things. So not everything is reserved. Quite obviously, in a 13.3 billion annual spend, not everything's reserved to you, but it is all open pretty much to everyone. So they try and make routes in for third sector to be able to get some business out of the public sector, and for them to ensure that they're hitting all of their sustainability targets as well. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, but how would a charity or a CIC be able to offer a commercial situation like a cafe, or mobile cafe, or coffee shop, or catering?
Yeah, so there's lots of ways of doing that. So for example, Scotland Excel has a food and drink framework. Okay, it's a national framework, and local councils for local schools will call off of that framework, and it's a supply only in some respects. So what the council does is they'll arrange to pick it up from you and then take it to the school. Okay, so it's not necessarily that you have to run something, it's sometimes supply only. So if you're local and you can provide sandwiches every morning, they'll pick them up, bring them over. Or if you have a business that has people to run things, and that's, you want to run from start to finish on the cafe, then you can bid on that basis depending on what their requirements are. So every single contract has different specifications. I couldn't possibly go through all of them, but there will be bits and pieces that you might be able to deliver, and that's what they're trying to do. So Murray Council just had a drop-in event about supplying to local schools for businesses. They wanted to talk to farmers, they wanted to talk to bakeries, they wanted to talk to everyone basically in the area who could provide bits and pieces of local food on local plates for children. And so it doesn't have to be the whole thing all the time.
Thank you.
So I was going to say, we have now come to the end of our time, actually.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. I was going to say, does anybody have any final questions before we kind of wind up? If anybody's got any pressing questions just now, obviously, we can pass on hopefully Jennifer's details to everybody here today. But if anybody got anything final they want to add, feel free, put your hand up or come online. No, okay, that's fine. As I mentioned before, so we do record all the webinars, so they are posted on our Vimeo channel, so you can see all the slides again on there. I posted the link in the chat before, so please do have a look at that. And again, if you do have any follow-up questions as well, get in touch with me and I can pass on to Jennifer, or I can hopefully answer them myself. So yeah, thanks Jennifer, that's been brilliant. To be honest, it's very, very comprehensive. I had lots of compliments in the chat today as well about the presentation, so we really, really appreciate that. And obviously, as Jennifer mentioned, we're hoping to work with the Supplier Development Programme a lot more in future. So as Social Enterprise Scotland and the new single enhanced intermediary. So we're looking forward to kind of more partnership working, more webinars and this kind of thing as well. So happy to connect. And thank you to everybody for coming along today. And thank you to Jennifer, and have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.